We'll try one more time. This is Andrea from Michigan. Welcome to our Tuesday Doctor's Call, where our host, Dr. Kurt Fisnick, along with other guest doctors, share their experience and wisdom to help you preserve your own health. Our host, Dr. Kurt Fisnick, or Doc Fiz, as we lovingly call him, was voted one of 100 of America's top chiropractors in 2004, often seeing 100 patients per day in his practice. However, tragedy struck in 2007 as he was riding motorcycle. He was hit broadside, being airlifted to a hospital, laying in a coma for 2 days, faced with a medical decision to remove his mangled right leg. The doctors told him he would never walk again. They did not even design a rehab program for him. Their best offering was to remove his leg, put him on 4 opiate drugs with a drug counseling program. Doc refused the leg amputation and designed his own rehab program. He spent 2 years in a wheelchair. We are happy to say he completed a 5K marathon last year and plans to compete in a 10K this year. Needless to say, the accident changed his ability to practice chiropractic services. He has successfully continued to provide support, education, and an offering of tremendously effective products for others to use for their health. So I want to thank you, Dr. Kurt, for bringing on our guest, Dr. Kim Schunkweiler, today to our January 11th, 2018 call. Go ahead and take over.
Well, Andrea, thanks for the introduction, man. I want to meet that guy.
I do too.
Thank you. I'll tell you, everyone, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy what I'm doing. I'm 55. I've been doing it since I was 25 years old, and after my accident, the worst thing that like that, and they're laying in the hospital, wondering if they're just going to walk. And really, honestly, I'm being totally honest with you, one of the first things that went through my head is, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to practice again. What am I going to do for the rest of my life? That was the first thought that ran through my head. And when they told me they were going to cut my leg off and I'd never be able to walk again and all these different things, one of the first things that I did is I called a couple friends of mine that had made good money in the network marketing field, and I said, you guys got to help me. I said, I'm never going to be able to walk again. I'm going to have to work from home. It turned out that the guy that ran me over didn't have insurance, so I didn't get any big settlement to pay for my future life. And I really had to really figure things out, and so I went looking for a company that really I could wrap my arms around wholeheartedly, and I could say, this is my company. This is my company. This is the company that I represent. And, you take every sizzle product that's out there, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind putting my name on every single product that we have. If I could relabel them, say, this is Doc Fiz's product, that's what I would do. That's how much I believe in this product. And so I've been hammering on a buddy of mine. He's Detroit, and Dr. Kim and I met at an anti-aging seminar. It's kind of funny. Here we are again working together in anti-aging. We're pursuing building stem cell clinics and promoting sizzle products, and that's it. And so we start telling people that. Anyhow, Dr. Kim is a chiropractor up by Detroit, and he's built a big practice. And this morning we were talking about the flu. Dr. Kim, if you'd like to get on the call here and share with everybody, first off, what are some things that people can do? What are some tips that people can do to avoid getting the flu? And then maybe cover some ideas if they're exposed to someone who has the flu, what's the first step they should do? And then maybe, without saying cure or treat, what kinds of things can they do if they get it? Thank you.
Well, good morning, Dr. Kurt, and thank you so much. I have met that guy, and he's okay. He's kind of a legend in his own mind.
But, in my own mind.
No, he's all right. You asked me about the flu, and I do a little research on the flu, and it's pretty fascinating what's passing for information out there these days. I found a study that said that basically most of the flu cases that are reported as flu aren't even the flu. A very small percentage are. So there's a big marketing push out there to get people thinking that we got this big flu epidemic when we probably don't, and they're pushing their dang flu shots on people, which are at best maybe 10% effective. And they come with their own risk of weakening the immune system and putting things in our body that aren't supposed to be there. So what can we do to not get the flu? That's the best way to deal with it, is just don't get it. And of course the key to that is just keeping your immune system as strong as possible. So what are some simple things that we can do to keep our immune system strong? And I think one of the very first things is diet. And the main thing there is just keeping sugar out of the diet. One can of soda, or as in Detroit area we call pop, in Michigan, that will depress the function of the immune system by 40 to 60% for like 5 hours. So you look at a person that maybe has a can of pop, a can of soda, and a few hours later has maybe a couple of cookies, a bag of potato chips, a piece of cake. They're constantly keeping their immune system depressed. So that's not what we want to do. So, I would encourage everybody, if you eat a lot of refined carbohydrates, you're really not doing yourself any favor. First of all, you're weakening your immune system. Of course, you're going to be putting on some extra weight. You're going to be, leading yourself down the path to maybe diabetes, things like this. So that's the first thing we can do. We got to watch what we're putting in our bodies that's weakening our immune system. We got to get enough sleep. Sleep is really important, and good quality sleep. I think that what I found is if I'm sleeping really, really good, and I get in bed, I go right to sleep, I can get by with 6-7 hours of sleep and do very, very well. But a lot of people, they go to bed, they toss and turn, their mind goes crazy, and they're not getting the quality sleep. So that's important. I like to take the supplements too. Vitamin D is really, really important. They say that if your vitamin D levels are up, you won't get sick. You just won't get the flu, and it's very difficult for us who live in the northern hemisphere because we just don't get the sun exposure. Here we are. I'm in Michigan right now. It's like 16 degrees right now, so I'm not outside with my shirt off getting sunshine. That'll produce vitamin D. So I've got a supplement with vitamin D. There's a number of vitamin D products out there. I like one by Biotics Research. It's a emulsified vitamin D. It's called BioEmulsion, and that comes in it's kind of a pasty, or not pasty, but a thick emulsion. 4, 5, 6 drops of that a day, and that keeps vitamin D levels up. So that's important. Drinking enough water is important, and I really like the Triangle of Life product that Sizzle has. The Picoidin is fantastic, and that's the first thing now that I reach for. If I start I'm coming down with something, I'll just double, triple, quadruple the Picoidin that I've been taking, and that seems to work really, really well at boosting my immune system and supporting my ability to fight off whatever's coming down the pike. So those are some very, very key and basic things that we can do. Not only as just regular people, but I assume if everybody on the call is with Sizzle. I mean, you've got some fantastic tools right in your back office in the catalog that can go a long way. The Encompass 360 fills in the gaps that may not be taken up by the by the Spectrum Act. So those 4 products, the Triangle Life and the Encompass 360, are a basis for me, of course, along with the H pill, to keeping my immune system strong. And I'm going to knock on wood here. You can hear me knocking on my forehead that I haven't had the flu. I just haven't had the flu. I can't remember. If I did, it's been a long, long time before I learned how to take care of myself. So they're very short and succinct, Dr. Kurt. There's some things that we can do to keep ourselves as resistant as possible towards these things that like the flu, like the cold, and other things.
You bet. Dr. Kim, if somebody knows they just got exposed to the flu, maybe they went to their brother's house and the kid had the flu, what would you recommend that they do right away just to make sure that they do everything they can to prevent getting it?
Well, I go back to what I just covered. I would take extra Picoidin. I would really up my vitamin C level. I always keep vitamin C and take extra of that. And if you start feeling a symptom, a gram an hour of vitamin C on top of everything else can be very helpful. And I have a diplomate in homeopathy, and I'm a big believer in aconite. It's a homeopathic remedy that if you take right at the beginning of when you start feeling something coming on, like the cold or flu, can really help, ward it off real quickly. I mean, even yesterday I was in the office and I sneezed, and all of a sudden I felt, uh-oh, something's coming on. I mean, it didn't take long. I guess we've all gone through that, where obviously you're feeling good, you sneeze, and then you're not feeling as good. And I went and got a dose of aconite, put that under my tongue, and got home, took some extra Picoidin, and I feel great today. So, and didn't feel bad last night. So it's little simple things. One thing you don't want to do is go out and grab a can of Coke or something like that, and try and help yourself that way, because that's not going to do it. That's going to make things worse.
And what do you think? What do you think of like Tamiflu or any of these other products that they see over the counter? That and I know we can't make any claims or anything like that, but what's your thoughts on that? A lot of people ask me, hey doc, what's your thoughts on taking these after you get the flu type of product?
I haven't seen them work. I think the negative effects of taking them are far worse than the benefits you might receive. I think you can take care of yourself a lot safer and easier with the other things that I just mentioned. I'm not a fan of Tamiflu or this other stuff. And I just read. Oh gosh, I wish I had that in front of me. The girl took Tamiflu and got very, 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 very sick from the Tamiflu. So I'm not a fan.
Yeah, me neither. That's why I brought it up, so what's your email address, if you don't mind, if people have any questions they might want to throw to you, just to get kind of a doctor's opinion on something. What's your email address?
Yeah, it's Dr. Kim1, DrKim1, numeral 1, at yahoo.com.
You bet. Well, Dr. Kim, I sure appreciate your advice on it, and man, I'll tell you what, I saw the other day there was 8 people down in Santa Barbara that all died from the flu, and 7 of them had just had the flu shot, and I'm thinking, well, there goes, that kind of debunks that theory that the flu shot actually works, and even the CDC came out and said, we're lucky if it works 5 to 10% of the time. And this year we seem to be having a really hard strain of the flu. So, if you go out in public a lot, if you're out in the public, if you're, on an airplane, I'll be flying to Australia pretty quick. And just remember that a lot of these buildings, not just up here in the north. I mean, man, it was negative 25 degrees up here today. That's 40 degrees colder than what you guys got over there in Michigan. But they recirculate the air. They recirculate the air in the building, and so if somebody sneezes, and they have a cold, or they have the flu, or they have some kind of illness that can be airborne, and the air is recirculated, you're going to get exposed to that. even though you might be on the other side of the room, you might actually be in a different room. And so if you're going to the mall and you're a lot of people up here, they go to the mall and they do their 10K walk every day at the mall. Well, if somebody's there and they're sneezing, you're exposed to that. I don't care how much they cover their mouth. It hits their arm and it bumps into the air, and those molecules are flying around, and you breathe them in, and you can be exposed to that. So, I try to avoid a lot of congested public places because of that in the wintertime, because I just like right now, January, February, into March, I kind of try to avoid those places just for that reason, because I don't want to increase my exposure, and like Dr. Kim, I think the last time I got the flu, I mean, really honestly, I'm remembering back to the last time that I got hit with it was 11 years ago. 11 years ago, 2006. And I remember because I was working on my motorhome, and I got the flu, and so that's how I remember when I got it. So and in the 30 years that I've been a chiropractor, I can remember 2 other times. So 3 times in 30 years, Dr. Kim. What do you think of that?
Well, that's pretty good. I can't remember the last time I had it. Maybe that might be because I'm getting old and I can't remember anything. But it's been a long, long time. But and I don't envy you actually flying to Australia. Airplanes are the absolute worst. I mean, you're exposed to everything on an airplane, and talk about recirculating the air. I mean, it's a very small, confined area. You're picking up what everybody has on that plane, whether they're in first class or coach. It's all circulating.
I have
on top
two
of
words
it.
for that. Hey, docs, I have 2 words for that.
Yeah.
It's called medical mask. Medical mask. I used to fly a lot about 5-6 years ago, and when they had that N1H1 flu, and most of it was down in Mexico, coming out of Mexico, I was flying probably from Florida to Michigan or Michigan to Florida, and I decided to buy a medical mask and wear it on the plane. And so sitting in the waiting area at the gate, everyone was looking at me like I was a little strange and trying to avoid me, which is another good way to keep people away from you in the winter.
And you are strange.
And then they landed, and they announced it would take a few minutes for them to clean the plane because they had to disinfect it. It just came from Mexico. And so then everyone was looking at me like, do you have another mask?
Yeah, somebody asked me, well, since a lot of the flu starts in Beijing, China is where they say a lot of the flu starts. They asked, do the people in China actually get the flu?
Good question. No, they wear masks.
Well, I would just, we could probably do a whole hour or so on the fact that what's passing for is being called the flu is not really the flu, anyways. They're finding out when they actually do blood studies on people that supposedly have the flu that very, very few of them actually have the flu. So we are under barrage constantly by people trying to sell stuff, and the flu shot is something it's a commodity being sold, and I just don't trust. It's like fake news, right? I mean, everything you got to be very careful what you read and believe these days. But if you just work at keeping your immune system as strong as possible, then it doesn't matter. You're gonna be able to fight off an exposure to this stuff. So that's the key.
That's exactly it. So, well, Dr. Kim, thanks for sharing. Andrea, thanks for sharing. And, I wanted to get a little bit, because I said we're going to be talking, beginning of the year, I said we're going to do 12 weeks of weight loss. And on Facebook, I posted last night some research that I was reading about NAD. And a lot of people, they go, oh, NAD, and they jump online, they start looking up, where do I get NAD? And they buy NAD, NAD supplements. Well, the thing about it is that when you buy an NAD supplement, you're really not getting NAD because it's a biologically unstable molecule, and so it really is unsuitable for oral supplements. And so thank God, that Tom Maurer with Sizzle and some of these other scientists, they figured out a solution for it. And so about a decade ago, researchers had discovered that a compound called nicotinamide riboside is rapidly converted into active NAD plus because of enzymatic action in your body. And so what nicotinamide riboside does is it bumps up those NAD plus levels, and it appears useful in preventing diseases that are associated with abnormal energy utilization. And so when we're talking about obesity, right, if you don't have enough energy, right, you're going to be sedentary. You're going to find yourself, you're going to have low metabolism, and what ends up happening is then your body tends to convert fat into stored fat. It tends to convert the sugars that you eat into stored fat, and what this does is this increases your risk of diabetes. It increases your risk of atherosclerosis. It increases your risk of metabolic syndromes. And you take a look around you in America today, it's like 70 to 80% of us as adults are overweight, and they say over 30% are what they consider to be obese. And so this overtaxes your system. It causes some toxic things to go on. Your liver starts to have problems. And so a study that they did where it was with mice, and they took pre-diabetic mice, and they gave them nicotinamide riboside, and you'll see me use just the initials NR when I'm talking about it on any of my posts or anything like that, or on my emails. But they found that when they gave them NR, they found that they had better glucose tolerance, they had less weight gain, and they had decreased liver damage. And so they found that they had a slower development of fatty livers in diabetic mice, in the mice that had already developed diabetes. This NR markedly reduced the blood sugar, it decreased the weight, and it decreased the liver fat, and it helped prevent diabetic nerve damage, right, which diabetic neuropathy, right? We hear of people all the time that have diabetes, and they say, oh, my feet are numb, my feet are cold, my hands are cold, my hands are numb. And that's nerve damage from the sugar. And so when we look at it in our body, sugar is considered a toxin. And I talked to people a lot about the other day, someone called and they said that their friend was having some problems with water retention in the abdomen, and right away, without seeing the person, I'm not there, I'm not in the same state that they are, right away I think, okay, kidney problems, kidney issues, because you start having the water retention in there, and then you start thinking, okay, what's causing the kidney problem, and a lot of times it has to do with metabolic syndrome and maybe some toxic issues, and so that's what I start looking for right away. And we talked about that, and I said, what's the person's sugar intake, and right away most people, they're like, oh no, I don't eat any sugar, and I've had people tell me that before, and I say, really? You don't eat any sugar? And they say, oh no sugar at all. I went off sugar 10 years ago. And I said, well, tell me what you ate yesterday. And they start out there, well, I had an apple, and I had some rice, and I had this, and I had that. And whoa. I said, so you don't understand sugar very much, because, even celery, which is mostly fiber, breaks down into sugars. That stuff all breaks down into sugar. Rice breaks down to sugar. I don't care if it's white rice, wild rice, brown rice. I'm starting to sound like Bubba Gump. But anyhow, rice gumbo, anyhow, but that all breaks down into sugars in your body. And if you're having an issue where your body can't handle all the sugars, even those kinds of things, you don't have to take tablespoons of white sugar and dump it on your cereal to have a problem. You don't have to drink a pop, like they call it up in Michigan, to have sugar issues. So we get into those things, and so we start looking at all of that. So really quickly, the NAD, it's why do we have to worry about that? Well, like Tom has said on his calls, Tom Maurer has said on the Sizzle calls, is that when you take a look at NAD plus levels, they markedly decline with age and create an energy deficit that decreases the body's ability for youth. And so you age quicker. And so when you take a look at it, just to kind of give you an idea how bad is it, by the age of 50, a typical person is only going to have half of the NAD plus levels they did that when they were in their 20s. And by the age of 80, the NAD plus levels have dropped to 1 to 10% of what you had when you were 20 years old. I mean, think about that. You've lost 80%, 90% by the time you reach 80. And I'll use my parents as an example. Mom is going to turn 80 this year. My dad turned 80 back in December, and I got them taking the age pill when it first came out, and they're just taking the regular dose. It's on the bottle, the 3 in the morning, 3 at night. Dad, he's from that generation that he reads labels, and I told him, I said, no, you want to take double the dose, but I don't know, just that generation, you can't talk them into it. And they took the regular dose, and it was a couple months later, my mom said to me, she said, that foot pain that I had, that numbness, it's gone, right? And Mom and Dad have both developed, have just built their energy levels back up, where they had kind of cut back on their activity. Now they're never home. I mean, the other day, hunting season was ending up here. I decided to go out one last time, and I hunt down around where Mom and Dad live, and I decided to pop in, and I pulled up, and guess what? No one home, gone. And I thought, holy cow. And so they're off running around, things like that. But that's how much it's improved their life. And we start thinking about, can it improve yours? What can it do for you? What can it do for me? And it restores, the age pill restores the cellular NAD levels back to their higher levels. And this is proven in study after study after study. And the age pill is light years ahead of any other nicotinamide riboside type product because of the ingredients that we have in there. And it's a cofactor in cellular energy transfer. And when you take a look at the other things that it does, I mean, really, it helps with longer telomeres. And that was the study of the 2009 Nobel Prize. TSX, one of Sizzle's other products, is a telomere support extreme. That's what actually brought me to Sizzle. NAD promotes DNA repair, immune cell signaling, energy enzymes, chromosome stability. But the other thing is that NAD acts as a neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitters are the chemicals in the brain that move brain signals from one neuron to the next, and through this synaptic release. And so everything about NAD, when you start looking at it, it meets all the criteria to be considered a neurotransmitter. And neurotransmitter, NAD neurotransmitter function, it's been found in the intestine, it's been found in the smooth blood vessel muscles, as well as finding NAD plus function in the brain. And so it's essential for promoting and sustaining proper brain health. And so, Dr. Kim, you're talking about how, you're getting old and you're not remembering things as much as you can. I would bump those levels up. Stay with the age pill and brain vitality and Super Omega. It should be back on the market next week. It's had some trouble getting some of the extracts. And the one thing that you'll know about our company is, and I've seen this before, when Tom can't get the right ingredients. When the right ingredients aren't available, he won't make the product. He won't substitute quality of ingredients, and he would rather have the product go off the market than put the wrong ingredients in there. So for you and I as consumers, that's way, way, way important. And so anyhow, I'm looking at the time. It's the bottom of the hour. Dr. Kim, any things that you want to add? Andrea, anything that you want to throw in before we close out the call?
Yeah, real quickly, my memory has improved tremendously since I started on the age pill. I was kind of kidding, but one of the things I kind of neglected to mention a minute ago, just very quickly, is that we want to keep as many toxins out of our bodies as we possibly can, and we're lucky being associated with Sizzle is that Tom has developed some fantastic personal care items in that are toxin free, and that will kind of mitigate or help control the toxins that we're putting, the shampoos, the toothpaste, things like that are and soaps that are transferring toxins to our body all the time with these store-bought, off-the-shelf stuff. So I would urge everybody to avail themselves of the opportunity of using the products that Tom's developed over the years. They're pretty awesome.
Yeah, they are. They sure are.
Thank you both for taking the time to share with us today. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, Dr. Kim. Everyone that's listening to the recording, have a great day. Share this and get the information out there to people. Let them know that there are some alternatives. You can make a difference in your life, and maybe you can turn yourself around and not have to face what I had to face, and make your life that much better, make your family and your loved ones' life that much better. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.